Hey, hello. Welcome to the Unstoppable Singer. I am your host, Danielle Tucker. I'm a singer, a vocal coach, and a lead singer with the Mighty Untouchables band. The Unstoppable Singer is a live interview style show where I follow the lives of real life professional singers. And these singers have made some incredible achievements in their lives and careers. And we talk about the challenges and triumphs that come along with a career under the bright lights and learn what being unstoppable looks like for them. If that sounds like it's for you, then stick around because we're going to jump right in. And I'm going to go ahead and introduce my fabulous guest tonight. It is singer-songwriter Sara Mann. Sara has forged a career in music with her velvety and effortless voice, natural talent on piano, and acoustic guitar. In addition to releasing several albums and EPs over the span of 2 decades, Sara made her Broadway debut in Saturday Night Fever in 2001. Sara recently recorded solo and group vocals for Beauty and the Beast, a 30th celebration with H.E.R and Josh Groban. She also performed at the Hollywood Bowl and Beauty and the Beast Live and La La Land Live and the LA Forum in Game of Thrones Live. She's also been a featured singer and background singer for Miley Cyrus, Harry Belafonte, Willie Nelson, Leonard Cohen, She and Hims, Chris Stapleton, Sheryl Crow, Alison Krauss, Brian Setzer, Casey Musgraves, and more. Her voice has also graced many movie soundtracks and television shows. There are so many to mention. I will ask her in detail to share those with us, but without further ado, here's Sara.
Hi.
Hello.
Hi.
How are you?
I'm so good. Thank you for having me.
Oh my gosh. Well, thank you for joining us. It's awesome to have you here tonight.
It's
I
hard. It's
am,
awkward to hear your own bio when you're like, "Oh no."
I know. Like, who's she talking about?
And I'm like, "Well, I play electric guitar too, so maybe I should change that because, I also play clarinet. Not that anybody
Ooh, awesome.
not that anybody ever needs that, but
So many talents, so many talents. And I also see on Instagram that you are a mompreneur and a retired restaurateur. Is that how you
yes.
say restaurateur?
Restaurateur. Yes.
So tell me about that.
I have 2 daughters. I have 2 stepdaughters also, my bonus daughters. So there's
Yay.
4 currently in the house. And I with my ex-husband and I opened 2 restaurants, 3. Well, gosh, we've opened 4 in the span of our marriage together. And one of them is Sweet Salt, which is in Toluca Lake, which is still open. The other one is called Cascabel, which is also in Toluca Lake. I put retired on there because I'm not really a part of them anymore. Emotionally,
Yes.
I am still attached. They were my babies before I had real babies.
Yes.
But yeah, so those were like a side hustle situation. He's a chef, and we did that together.
Yeah, that's exciting. So then you really truly are an entrepreneur then, I see.
I mean, that part of my world, yes, definitely. Investing in something like that and that was a big risk, the restaurant stuff.
Yeah.
Very scary. But I like food. So that was, and I saw there was an absence of kind of like fast, fresh food in Toluca Lake where we were in 2000. There was just really nothing there. There was a Bob's Big Boy. There was a couple like a Marie Callender's, but there was no, Sweet Green didn't exist yet. Those kind of like fast salady places. And so
Yeah.
we were like, this is what this neighborhood needs. And so we just figured it out and we opened up there. And
Yeah, I love that.
yeah.
There's nothing like being able to grow something, build something, and make money off of something that you're passionate about. I love that. And it's, whether you are in the music world exclusively or you have business in other industries, it's always really fun to see kind of how you meld one into the other and what you take from the other field into the other field. So,
right. Well, we called it the house that Miley built. We called Sweet Salt the house that Miley built because I was on tour with
okay.
her while we were opening that restaurant. So I would be on the tour bus with like picking out paint colors and logo and like showing the guys in the band and being like, you like this logo or this logo? And they'd be like, no, we don't like that one. And it was very collaborative with the Miley band at the time. And I was just also in this, like, what am I doing right now?
Yeah.
Like tonight I'm going to go sing for 20,000 people. But like, meanwhile, I'm like, I don't know about gray. What if we do like a hot pink t-shirt, or, just the stupid stuff. But so Alex was back home building it. And
Yeah.
I was sending the paychecks home, and he was taking those and like buying, lumber or whatever. He was building it while I was, making the bread, basically. So it was the house that Miley built for sure. And then
Ooh,
she would come in, like once it finally opened, she came in, and like the
oh,
paparazzi followed her, and we were like, yes.
yes.
People would come because Miley was coming in there and eating, and we were like, yay, that's great.
Yeah. Oh,
It was,
that's incredible. I love that story.
and she
And I
still
love
is.
the hustle behind that. I mean,
Yeah.
that's amazing to be, wearing two hats like that at once. I mean, being on tour is, I'm sure, busy enough life as it is, but throw in building business as well back home.
It was exciting. It was a
Yeah.
lot. It was fun.
That's great.
Yeah.
Well, as we heard at the beginning from your introduction, you have had a really big career in music, and you continue to do so. Why don't you give us kind of a recap of 2022 and tell us how 2023 is starting out for you?
2022. I feel like literally March of 2020 up until I don't even know when is like one big
Yes.
year. Like it's really hard for me to go, oh,
Yeah.
2022 is this. Like it just
Yeah.
feels like this big ball of like that big COVID ball that's just what
That's what it looks like. Yes.
yeah,
I
I'm
get
like,
it.
did 2020 okay, let's see. On New Year's of 2020, like when we had New Year's of turning into 2022, I got COVID for the first time. So
Oh.
I'm like going all the way. That was when that happened. But it was like a great time to get COVID because
Mhm.
nothing was going on. We were just, everybody was like, it was holidays. So it felt kind of, like, no, there was no work anyway. 22, I went on tour in June with She and Him. That was the first like we're going back out on the road, and we're
Mhm.
going to test 3 times a day. And that was fantastic. We had an audience. We did mostly outdoor performances, like I'm trying to think of where we were, like just outside venues and stuff. It was really beautiful, and it was nice to finally be back out because we didn't do it before the year before. Um,
Mhm.
so that was really cool, and a little scary sleeping on a tour bus, and you're like, like what if
Those
somebody's
close
sick?
quarters.
He's
Yeah.
Yeah, he's sneezing, and we're all sharing air, but that's why we were testing so much. So, and plus
Yeah.
I had COVID, so I was like, whatever at
Yeah.
that point. I did some touring, I did some live stuff, I did some sessions in person back in a real recording studio, which was fantastic. Um, I think I'm kind of at a point in my life, and I want to say the pandemic also helped that, where I started to focus just even more on my kids,
Mhm.
and they are at an age where they are really into voiceover, and they're singing and piano lessons and softball, and so I'm just sort of spending a lot of time. It's not as much about my career right now as it
Mhm.
feels like I'm just like raising them. And I'm also a newlywed. Really, we've been married 4 years, but I'm still kind of in that
Yeah.
where I'm like feeding everyone and making sure everybody's happy. And we remodeled our kitchen, and so
Yeah.
it was a great year, I think, last year compared
Mhm.
to the two before. But
Yeah, well, that's awesome. Well, congratulations on all of that. And that's really interesting that your daughters are into voiceover. Are they singers too?
oh, well, yes, I say voiceover because they got a couple voiceover auditions, and they did a really good job. And then from there, I have a voiceover agent who was like, "You should send their stuff to the children's department." And so then I got them a voiceover agent, and now they get auditions. So now I'm sitting at home and I'm like self-recording them too. I'm like their engineer. They just like it. It's fun for them. They get to sing. And they do sing. To answer your question, one of
Mhm.
them sings. One is like really into softball. She's a great catcher player. She's been doing it forever. The other one takes a little bit more after me, piano,
Mhm.
singing, just, in the back of the car harmonizing and stuff. And the other one's not so much. Doesn't,
Yeah.
but it's
Yeah.
cute. It's interesting. So
How do
I
you
told Alf, I'm like, please do not become a singer. I was like, I don't want be a lawyer, be a doctor, be an architect. I don't care. Be a veterinarian. Do not follow mommy's footsteps.
and why do you say that?
I don't know. I think it's and I look, it's I'll tell you honestly, when I was a kid, I wanted to be like Debbie Gibson, Madonna on Broadway. Then older, I wanted to be Alanis Morissette, and I wanted to be, every the fame, the money, like that was what I was going after, the
Yeah.
star.
Yeah.
And then as you get older, you realize like really what is the it's not really as much about the fame. It's about, can you make a living doing all of these things, and are you
Yes.
happy?
Yes, yes.
And so now I just don't know. I think it was a hard path to
Mhm.
follow. I think there, like I said, there's always the side hustle. I was a receptionist for thousands of different places, and a first assistant and a second assistant, and I plated bagels, and I worked at this recording studio and that, and it was just a hard journey. It still is a hard journey, but I
Mhm.
don't wish that pounding the pavement lifestyle on my own
Yeah.
children. I just kind of I want it to be easier for them.
Yeah. Oh, I get that. It does. It takes so much hustle, so much grit to be in this business, to really build it up to something where you can make a living doing it. It requires, having your hand in a lot of different things and constantly being at it. It is not like showing up and punching a card every day. It's a
And
full-time job.
you have to have the right personality too. I mean, if
Mhm.
you're kind of a shy person, maybe not the right business. You have to be able. I have stories about meeting tour managers on an airplane before, and me being like, "Hi," and how are
Mhm.
you? Just continually networking. And if you're kind of like one of those people that doesn't want to send an email, like, "Oh, I don't know, I want to bother them," it's
Yeah.
not the right business for you. And one of my daughters is very shy like that.
Yeah.
She's not one of the ones that's going to run up on the playground and make friends.
Mhm.
And you have to be kind of like that in this business. Like,
Yeah.
hi, I want to be your friend. I want to be your singer. Hey, do you need a singer? I can play guitar too, whatever you want. I'll play piano. It doesn't make a difference. I can do backgrounds. You want to be an alto? You want a soprano? Whatever. I'm here.
Yeah.
Like that's kind of how you have to be. And
Yeah.
anyway,
Always on for sure.
yes.
Well,
Yes.
how did you cultivate music into their lives? Did they just kind of naturally gravitate towards it because you were involved in it, or were you intentional about incorporating it into their lives with singing or piano?
I staged mom them a little bit in the beginning. Was like, come on, let's hear you sing. Let's hear you sing. And everybody was like, do your kids sing? Do your kids sing? Like, do they sing like you? Um, and then it was very clear that one of them was maybe a little bit better than the other one,
Mhm.
and had more intention with it. Liz, you'd be like, really, she was like more into it, I guess. And um, they yeah, I mean, I didn't force it. I didn't really force it. I just kind of let it unfold naturally. And you know s- they want, like, my daughter Matilda, the younger one, she wants it. She wants to
Yeah.
audition for stuff. And very much like me, like I like, just auditions, and I want to be in this choir, and I want to do that. And
Mhm. Yeah. I know, I always wonder, my daughters are 9 and 10 years old, and
mine are 10 and 11.
oh, yeah, okay, so you know how it goes. But I've always, of course, I've always hoped that they would be interested in music, and I've tried to expose them to as many things as I can, and I've always given them free reign of the music room. They can sit down and play anything, sing anything they want at any given time, but I've found that any me trying to prompt them to do anything
Yeah.
sends them in the exact opposite direction. So I always try to kind of back off, but I always wonder if I'm doing the right thing with that, because I also see the benefit in I don't want to use the word pushing the kids, but encouraging them and really kind of walking alongside of them in that path. And because, most kids aren't super self-starters. So,
Yeah, but
sometimes-
you were probably like me. I mean, I
yeah.
think that there's this inherent thing. When I was little, I was like the piano was a magnet for me, and I went to it. And I
Wow.
wanted to play it, and I wanted to sing. And anytime I was alone in my room, I was singing Annie and just
Mhm.
singing nonstop. And both of my daughters, neither one of them are really into it like I was. My
Mhm.
mom, they knew when I was a little girl. They're like, oh, she's, you know, mine aren't exactly, drawn to the piano. Although the other day Matilda went and was like writing. I went into her room and I was like, "What are you doing?" She's like, "I'm writing a song." And I was
Oh,
like, "Oh, okay."
love
You
that.
know. So I don't know how you were as a kid, but it was very clear to my
Mhm.
parents, like, "Oh, okay, this is what she's gonna."
It was obnoxiously clear that
Yeah,
that's what I wanted to do.
yeah. We knew it was like, this is our gift. Oh, this is what she's gonna do. Got it.
Yes.
It was also as a kid, like going to college, high school. It was like, you had friends that were like, I don't know what I'm gonna do. It was
Mhm.
like we knew what we were gonna do. We're gonna
Yeah.
be singers. This is it.
Yeah, very true. Yeah, and I think yeah, I think for me too, it had a lot to do with the fact that no one else in my family was involved in music in any way. My grandmother was a professional singer, but I didn't even live in the same state as her, so I didn't have her constant, influence on me. And I think that I think I was drawn to it so much because I it was something that was unique for me that no one was telling me to be this. Was my special thing that nobody else in the family had. So I think it
Right.
was kind of a just a natural draw towards it. But
Yeah.
yeah. So why don't you walk us back to the beginning for you and how you got your start in music? And did you come from a musical family?
So, not sure actually. My Not to get like too in the weeds with my history of my family. My
Mhm.
mother is not, she can sort of sing too. Probably watching right now. She's not like a singer. She's very artistic though. She was a set decorator in the film business, great at decorating and furniture and like cool, like super cool, very artistic. She can draw, she can paint. I can't do any of that. My dad, my father, he was born in Germany. His family came from they everybody perished in the Holocaust on
Mm.
my dad's side of the family. And apparently there was a cantor that was a singer. I don't know why I'm playing with this rubber band. There was a cantor. So that's all I know about any kind of musical history in my genetic background, was that there
Mhm.
was a grandfather potentially of mine that was a cantor, although I don't
Mm.
know how to find that and how to be
Yeah.
sure of that. My dad dabbled on the guitar, but he was also very artistic though. He was a prop master. So he
Okay.
worked in the film TV business as well. I grew up in Los Angeles. And they met on the back lot of Universal Studios. So
Mm.
like working on WKRP in Cincinnati, and
Nice.
yeah,
Oh,
so
that's cool.
they're super art. My dad was a great artist, like
Uh-huh.
this kind of artist as well, which again, I can't like, I could be like, Dad, draw a monkey on a motorcycle. And he'd be like, okay, mine would be like a stick figure with circles or something, I just can't do it. But I don't know. We don't really know. My mom bought a piano in the 80s and stuck it in the living room, and I went to it and started
Mhm.
playing it. And I figured out chords, and then she started to give me some piano lessons, and I figured out more things. And I'd go, look at this is that commercial. And I would, you know, figure out Debbie Gibson songs, and I'm aging myself, Tiffany stuff, whatever. And I would play things. And then begged her to have me go audition for Kids Incorporated and the Mickey Mouse
Oh,
Club, all
yes.
that stuff. I really wanted to be singing, like whatever it was, a kid actor, kid singer. So I started to audition for things, and I was doing shows in school, choir in elementary school, choir in high school, shows in high school, musical theater. And it felt like the natural progression for me was to follow the musical theater route,
Mhm.
singing, performing. Um, And so I went to Emerson College for musical theater. I have a BFA in voice. And from there, I'm trying to think that, growing up in Los Angeles, I had opportunities
Mhm.
that not every kid gets. I sang on some films when I was a kid in choir. So I did do some session work. I got my SAG card when I was in high school from
Mhm.
doing film work, singing on films. And then when I was in college, I actually ended up because I was already in SAG, I got some extra work. I remember I was in Boston and working on a couple films because I had a SAG card, but I was young. So trying to think. Anyway, went to college, got a record deal in Boston with my own music,
Wow.
and then I was like, okay, I'm going to be Tiffany or Alanis Morissette or
Mhm.
that kind of thing.
Yes.
Moved to New York to follow that dream. The Broadway and the record deal thing were kind of like my two secrets that I didn't tell each other about, like two best friends that didn't know about each other.
Okay.
So I was like, oh, I can sing this musical theater stuff and like super vibrato, whatever, jazz hands. And then over here, I had this record deal with MCA, and I was like, oh, I'm like, angsty girl writing about, playing guitar and I was writing about, unrequited love,
Yeah.
that kind of thing. But I didn't tell the two worlds about each other
Yeah.
because that's just not cool. Like, it's not cool to, whatever. So I was definitely following both paths to see which one would hit first. And
Mhm.
randomly, I was auditioning. This is New York. This is Broadway. I was auditioning for Broadway for a show, got a job singing backup for Harry Belafonte. That's a long story how the 3-day process of auditioning, but I got the job, and then I started becoming a backup singer. I finally did some Broadway stuff too, but
Mhm.
the world of backup singing was like, a melting of my music theory and being able to come up with harmonies and performing because I was on stage and I was dancing in this big red dress, and
Mhm.
I was 20 when I got hired. Oh no, 21 when I got hired by Harry, and I ended up touring with him for 10 years.
Wow.
And then intermittent, I'm like, how much of my life story do you want? Intermittently,
I love it.
started singing backup for Brian Setzer
Mhm.
also. And then a Sheryl Crow thing happened. The Harry thing was strong for 10 years. Brian Setzer came in toward the end. I moved back to Los Angeles. That's where I got the Brian Setzer gig. And then Harry eventually retired in 2004.
Mhm.
And then I was doing Brian. And still I'm like a receptionist at a recording studio too, to like, you make money being on the road, but you don't make enough money to pay your bills like consistently. If especially if the artist you're out with is like 2 months and then you're home for 3 months and then you're out for
Yeah,
2
yeah.
and then you're home for, whatever it is. We did a lot of one-offs
Uh-huh.
with Harry and Setzer. Setzer would be like 2 weeks and then we'd be back. So I always had like another job. And then there was like a lull. There was a
Mhm.
big lull for me where I had a commercial agent and I'm auditioning for TV. I did American Dreams. I got a job it was an NBC TV show. I played a character named Joanne. She played acoustic guitar and sang, and I did a handful of episodes on that show. Um, Still writing my own music. My label, everything collapsed, and not MGM, Seagram's bought MCA, bought Universal, bought blah 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 blah, and then
Mhm.
that disappeared. A lot of heartache with that. Called back for Wicked 18 times. Called back for Rent 22 times. Didn't get it. Didn't get it. It was just like flying back and forth to New. I mean, my career has been sort of just this, which everybody's is.
Yeah,
You
that's
know,
so true. Yeah, and you've really come at it from it seems like you worked both avenues really hard, the life of a working singer and the life of an artist. And that's hard to pursue both of those,
yeah.
at once. How do you feel like you balanced the drive between the two of them? Did you feel like one took away from the other or
Yeah, oh, for sure. I would focus on one really hard, and then the other one would like take a back seat, you know. But if I wasn't touring, then I would work on my own music
Mm-hmm.
and writing and, you know, just trying to make a living doing that. You know, meanwhile, my father passed away. I had to spend quite a bit of time. He had his own, you know, he was, like I said, he was a prop master. So when he died, it was very unexpected. And I was left, I'm his only heir, basically. So he had no other kids. He wasn't married. And all of a sudden I was like, whoa. And he had a prop truck and cars and a career and a lifetime of being a prop master. And I had all of this stuff that I had to figure out what to do with. And that was a full-time job in itself, but it, you know, it allowed me to take some time and just be like, I didn't have to focus on much. I didn't have to focus on me. It was more like healing from that and dissolving his, you know, his stuff. And that, I'm sorry, I was trying to think of what you just asked me, and I was thinking about just the trajectory of like where I was, and, you know, everything kind of going all over the place.
Yeah. Yeah. It just based off of like everything that I know, you know, from your bio, all of the different avenues that you've been involved in, you know, do you find that you have been very deliberate making sure that you have different channels of income, different streams of income in any given direction? Or do you feel that you've been pursuing one path harder than another, but it just so happens on the fringe, these other opportunities have come up for you?
I think the latter.
Yeah.
I think that a lot of it is like, I'm working on one thing, and then like I have a commercial agent still. I still have a manager. I still go on auditions for like stuff that you wouldn't, most of my colleagues are like, really? You audition? I auditioned for the Angeline biopic. You know, this was like last year or whatever. And I like read to be her mother, who's from Romania or something. You know, I mean, I had a call back for a commercial, like not singing though, just a full on like, hey, I'm a mom and I'm driving a Toyota. You know, like I think I've always sort of just and if I get it, great. And if I don't, it does feel like I've been a little scattered at times where I'm just trying to pay the bills.
Yeah.
Just like, you know, what can I do? And that's like that whole pound the pavement thing, which is quite exhausting. I'll be honest. I've had dark moments in my life where I'm like, I'm so tired. I'm so tired of the like, hey, you know, just want to say hi and I'm around and, you know, or like, you know, everything seems chill. And then all of a sudden I have an audition tomorrow at 4 and I'm like, ugh. But, yeah, I think I probably should have focused more on my own singing career, but then I would go on tour and I'd be like, all right, well, that pays the bills. So I got to do that, you know?
Yeah. Yeah.
It's almost like I don't have a choice. You know, it's
Right.
like, okay, whatever pays the bills. You can't say no. You can't, but
yeah, but it doesn't make sense to. So a lot of the times,
like,
yeah,
you know,
but it makes sense to do that and to just, you know, when an opportunity presents itself and it seems like a good thing to go for it. But I know what you.
Sorry, go ahead.
I was going to say, I just know what you mean as far as it being like mentally and just energetically exhausting, especially not knowing what to expect. You know, a lot of times we just don't know when the next opportunity is going to go, you know, come
I still
up.
don't know.
Yeah.
I don't know. I don't know what next month is like, honestly.
Right.
You know, but I know that I have children and I know that I have to focus on raising those girls. So it's like, if anything, I can go back and go, okay, well, got to make sure that we get to softball. And I think it's super important at this point in my life to also maintain my own sanity and happiness. And because if I'm not happy, they know I'm not, you know, I don't want them to grow up and see this like sad, I didn't get a job last week. And, you know, I don't know. I'm just try to be positive about stuff and not project that meant that like, oh, I don't know what, on them, or, don't want them to be worried about it. But I do think they think I'm crazy. I think they think mommy is crazy. They hear me during the pandemic singing in here and I do Kids Bop,
Uh-huh.
all the background group vocals for Kids Bop, and they're just they've just grown up listening to me doing the crazy, and then voiceover auditions where I'm doing a weird character and and they just are like, my mommy is crazy, you know. But
I think
anyway, yeah,
I think it's great that they get to see you though. They know who you are. You get to show them, what you're really driven to do. And I've always kind of when I first became a mom, I had my mom guilt was so hardcore because I wasn't taking that very traditional path as a mom, where once I had a baby, then I was just settling down and, focusing all my time and attention on motherhood, which sometimes I regret. But I think ultimately I just wanted both worlds. I wanted
right,
both worlds, and I really wanted to raise children who knew who their mom was, and that they could
yeah,
see, a woman, a business person, and see all of those different things that could be possible for them. And so I have no regrets, you
yeah.
know.
I did spend a good amount of time just being a mom in the beginning.
Mhm.
I stopped. I worked with Miley for, I don't know, 5 years. And
Mhm.
then I made a choice to, okay, it's time to have kids. I knew I wanted kids. It was time to have kids. And that journey in itself was harrowing, just trying to get a child.
Mhm.
So, I definitely did take some time. I recorded a lullaby record when I had Matilda, my second daughter. I was pregnant with her and I started singing a little bit, but I wasn't even interested in trying to work. We had the restaurants too, so I was lucky
Mhm.
enough to not have to deal with it or think about work, for me. Um, and then it like crept back in really
Mhm.
slowly, which was like, "Oh yeah, I'm a singer."
Yeah.
Like I'm not done. My journey is not over yet. And that's when I segued to, okay, I don't want to tour, but what can I do?
Mhm.
And that turned into session singing for me. That was the next journey, was like, okay, I need to work in Los Angeles. I need to figure out how to work here, and what does that look like for me? And is it casuals, or is it, singing backup for people in LA? And and that in itself was a lot of that took some time too, to
Yeah.
just change my career. I still do backup singing, a little bit, but I really did kind of a 180 and
Mhm.
started taking classical voice lessons at,
Mhm.
12 years ago, and started really reading music, and, going back and taking piano again and learning all my music theory, and joined a
Mhm.
big choir and did some stuff where I know my husband at the time was like, who are you? Like, just be a mom. And I was like, no, I can't. It's like, it looks like a itch you need to scratch,
Yes.
singing things. Because it's inherent. It's like who you are. I've been doing it
Mhm.
since I was 2 years old.
Mhm.
It just doesn't go away.
Right, right. And I know that to some onlookers, it might seem just like, oh, why don't you relax and just, enjoy motherhood and just kind of be present in that. But to me, just the person I am, and I think it sounds like you and I are very much alike in this regard, is that like didn't feel like I could be the mom I wanted to be if I wasn't doing the other things.
Right.
I don't think I would have liked the person I was if I had tried to like silence that that call to
Yeah.
continue
I
doing what
don't
I
think
was
I
doing.
don't think I did like who I was. I remember
Mhm.
after my second daughter was born, and it was just like a wake up moment of like, I'm not happy. I'm not
Mhm.
happy with just this. And so that's when I started, going back, and I learned, crazy enough. And I know I've listened to your podcast. I know you've talked about this with other singers. In 2011, 2011, I went and got myself a rig, bought myself a microphone and a preamp, and a new computer and put Pro Tools on it. And I hired this guy to come and teach me how to use Pro Tools. And I was like diligent with learning how to, not so I could just sing songs, but for voiceover work. And I really, it became apparent that in order to audition for voiceovers, I had to self-record. And I learned how to do it. And thank God I did, because when that pandemic hit, I was like way ahead of
Yeah.
the curve. You know, people were like, hey, do you know how to self-record? And I was like, I do.
As a matter of fact.
As a matter of fact. And, and, boy, I can't, that would just, Puto. The beginning of the pandemic was just sitting in here, and I had kids on Zoom, and then I'm like trying to record, and there's a dog barking, and there's a stop sign right outside of here, and my microphone picks it up all the time because some car will sit and idle, and I'll be like, or the gardener will show up, or a plane, or anyway. I don't miss any of that.
Yeah, that was pandemic life was it was something. It was something else.
Sorry, I segued back to my PTSD of airplanes and dog barking.
Yeah. Oh my gosh. I'm thinking about just the big picture of your career, how many avenues you've gone down. It seems like in any given one of them, you've had some really big opportunities, and it sounds like you had, great foundation, being an LA native, having parents who were already in the entertainment industry. But as you said in the beginning, when we were talking about not wanting your kids to follow in your footsteps,
right,
it takes it's a certain personality. Like, what do you think it is about you? What are the characteristics that you have that have enabled you to keep the funnel of work coming in, and to keep your spirit and your drive alive to, just to continue bringing in the work and kind of, finding the opportunities?
I think there's a part of me that I definitely am driven. I know that I had a healthy sense. I'm super insecure, I think, which a lot of us are, but then I have a healthy sense of ego too. So I don't even know how that works or how they coalesce, but that's me. I don't want to say that I couldn't take no, because I definitely could take no, but I knew how to kind of like brush myself off and get back up again. And it's sort of like, and I'm just making this up on the spot. It's sort of like you have different kinds of people. When you've got one person and they're walking down the street and they trip, right? You trip on something, and some people are embarrassed, right? And they're like, oh, and they're embarrassed by it. And, and then obviously, we usually keep going, right? But like some people like me, if I trip, I kind of laugh. It's like, oh, like, oh, I tripped, and then I keep going or whatever. And maybe some people trip and fall and like ruined their day, or I don't know, I'm kind of making this analogy up, but I'm definitely just okay, moving on. And it's given me the ability to keep trying, like somebody once told me that I was like a combat fighter, like I'm just always ready to go. Which can also hurt. It hurts. It's the same thing about how I was saying how I'm kind of exhausted at this point in my life. I'm a little bit like, I just want to take off my boxing gloves for a while.
Yeah.
And I'm always like, okay, let's go. What are we going to do next? Yeah, I mean, it's like the unstoppable singer, it just always had, I feel like I never had a choice. Like I'm really bad at math. So like that's not going to happen for me. Customer service, not so great. I owned a restaurant and got Yelp reviews about the owner that was, not very nice. Like I had one guy come into the restaurant, he's super hangry guy and looking at his watch, and was clearly he had 10 minutes, right? That he wanted food. We had just opened there was like food. We had a fax machine. People were faxing in their orders. and the phone was ringing and I had a line of people and I'm there and I'm like, hi, how can I, just 1 second, I'll be right with you. Okay. And then I answer the phone and I'm like, hi, sweet soul, how can I help you? And I put this order in, then I've got a fax. And this guy was like, you just took a phone order before me, which means that which means that their food's going to get made before my food's going to get made. And I'm actually here in person. And I was like, I'm so sorry, sir. I'm doing the best that I can. But if you need a sandwich in a jiffy, you should go down to Subway. It's like a couple blocks that way, because I can't, I only have so many, whatever. And that was just not the right thing to say to him anyway. But anyway, long story short,
Yeah.
I just don't think I had a choice except singing. That's it. I'm just going to
Yeah.
sing.
Yeah.
This is what I do best.
Well, and I'm sure, maybe that like personality trait maybe didn't like work awesome in the moment in a restaurant setting, but I could see how it would like in the music business, that
Right.
sometimes you just don't have time. You don't have the time or energy to deal with certain instances like that. But I love that you pointed out and gave that analogy of, you just kind of walking a little more like lighthearted through life, tripping, laughing, and picking yourself back up again, kind of like just not taking things too seriously and not taking things too personally, I guess. And I think that that's a really strong quality to have in this business, because it's so personal. What we do is like our body is our instrument, and especially if you're being creative, writing songs and everything, it can be soul crushing, some of the
Yeah.
rejection that you feel. But if you're very resilient and can kind of easily shake things off, it seems like a really strong quality to have.
I think the idea of giving up, it just wasn't an option too.
Yeah.
I had friends in college that went on, and we were all on the same path at one point. We all wanted to go to Broadway, and then one by one, everybody started to drop off. And now this one does real estate, and that one's a teacher, and which is totally respectable. And that one is a stage manager, and that guy's in casting, and that guy's a producer, and that guy is whatever. And it resonates with me, like, wow, they quit and they quit and they quit and they quit. And then I was like, I'm not a quitter. I'm not going to quit. I might not be the star, and because that's what I really wanted. But I'm not going to quit. I'm not giving up on, and maybe I'm the fool in the whole scenario. And they're laughing their way to the bank, I've got a 401k and driving whatever it is. And I'm like, trying to just, pay my bills every month. But I'm doing what I feel like I was put here to do.
Yeah.
So
yeah, I think that's a healthy way, or kind of a healthy weight to carry, is that idea of like, there's not really a whole lot of other alternatives here, because I think sometimes when you decide that this is going to be your career path, you kind of have to go all in on it. And once you do, I don't think there's much turning back from that, because once you've experienced the joy and the gratification of having a career in something you're like deeply passionate about, and just, everything that comes with that, the idea of like going and becoming a CPA or something, like I can't stomach that at all. And I know that so many of us kind of had to grapple with that during COVID, because
for sure,
nobody knew what was going to happen. Nobody knew what opportunities were going to even look like when things go back. And I have a lot of friends who really had to make some just heartbreaking decisions, around that. But,
I filled out a job application during COVID to work at a testing site. Just because I thought, well, you know what? I need work. And if I'm going to be one of those people that's like that way, or can I check your ID? Or I don't know if it was a vaccination site or it was a test. I don't remember. It was just like a California, and I got emails that were like, show up on Tuesday, $9 an hour, or this, if you want. I like thought, okay, well, this might be it. I thought about going to nursing school at one point because I thought about how um, incredible our medical professional, what am I trying to say it the right way? Like all of our medical professionals that gave so much of their time. I thought maybe I should do something more admirable with my life than just,
Mm-hmm.
singing, like entertainment. And then I thought about cantorial school. I've always thought about going to cantorial school. I definitely did a lot of that soul searching, like, and then I went, okay, I should just focus on my kids. That's
Mhm.
admirable in itself. Just raise your kids well, get them through this. Um, you know,
Mhm.
I did a lot of bread making too.
Yeah. Seems like a lot of people did a lot of bread. I never
You didn't.
produced any loaves of bread during the
I made like 2 loaves of bread, a lot of banana bread. I roasted a lot of chickens.
Yes.
But
No, I think we all upped our cooking game like a good 25% at least throughout
yeah,
the pandemic.
I was definitely trying to figure out, well, what am I gonna do?
Yeah.
What can I do?
Mhm. Yeah, I know what you mean. Definitely so many people had to make those, really tough decisions, but uh I think it also really separated those that have come from a very abundance mindset versus scarcity mindset, because I think if you were coming if you've just always naturally had that abundance mindset ingrained in you, you always had that belief underneath that things are going to be fine. Ultimately, yes, this sucks, and I might have to do some strange work that I'm not accustomed to doing or think outside the box here, but like you always had that belief that, things will be okay, eventually it'll work itself out. But,
Yeah.
but to come from the opposite side of that, I know, had to be very difficult, but it is, I think there's a drastically different outcome, um, whether you're looking through one lens or the other, you know?
Yeah. Yeah, I
Yeah.
don't know if I thought anything was gonna be okay.
Yeah.
I mean, I yeah. I kind of off the record, secretly enjoyed it in the beginning
Oh,
because
yeah.
it was just all great to be home. My husband was
Yes.
sleeping, we were like he built a fence, all this stuff, all
Mhm.
the to-do list stuff was getting marked off. So that was that was great. I was like with my kids,
Mhm.
I was like, oh good, you guys don't have to go to school. I don't have to wake up at 6:30 to get you to school in the morning. So there were a lot of things that I kind of enjoyed about it.
Yeah.
But I don't know if I was that optimistic,
Mhm.
I don't know if I even thought about the future. I did read, you read these articles that are like 3 years. I was like, no way.
Yeah. Yeah.
Here we are, 2020.
Right.
Although it does feel like we're kind of coming to an end. Things feel like they're like I had a session the other day. They didn't do any COVID testing at all.
Mhm.
It's great. We walk in, nobody had a mask on. It was like, yay,
Yeah, yeah. I know it does feel like it's faded out in a lot of ways. I mean, because even appointments that we take now, places we go, if they do require a mask, I'm like, I don't even know. Do we even have them anymore? I don't know
right.
where to find
I
them
have
in the house.
my purse, maybe. I don't know.
Yeah. Yeah, but that's a good thing. Do you feel like at this point work has fully come back for you, rebounded for you, or do you think it's kind of
Yeah.
still at a different pace?
No, it's I mean, not for me specifically, but, my husband is a vocal contractor, and it's for him, it's returned with the vengeance.
Yeah.
Anything that was put on hold during the pandemic is now not on hold. And
Yeah.
so it's just and that was last year for him too. It was just everybody was like, "Let's do this."
Yeah.
And I don't think I've self-recorded anything in maybe 6 months. Haven't
Mhm.
done anything in here besides like some voiceover stuff. Um, yeah, no, it feels quite back to normal.
Yeah.
You
Yeah.
know,
That's great. I'm
just
so
a little
happy.
bit of testing ahead of time, but the touring situation is not great in
Mhm.
regard to being a backup singer. From what I know about tours, everything is still at a premium. Tour buses are still more expensive.
Mhm.
Um, the hotels are more expensive now. It's just harder for an artist to tour.
Mhm.
So that's an issue, and they, they're therefore getting offered less money as a performer. Like, it costs us so much money to tour right now, so we can only pay you this. Whereas I'm like, whoa,
Mm-hmm.
whoa, 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 and I got paid this in 2019, so now
Yeah.
you want to pay me less?
Mm-hmm.
So like things like that are not great, but we'll see how it pans out.
Yeah, definitely. Well, do you have anything coming up that you'd like to share? Any projects that you're working on right now?
I don't have anything coming up. I know. I mean, I have. I'm trying to think. That's such a good question. I'm
Mhm.
not really. I'm just working on my stuff. I've been working on music theory. I'm taking piano lessons right now, and
Mhm.
I'm back working on just like I started working. I have a new writing partner, so I'm writing songs with somebody again, and we're gonna, I'm thinking about maybe doing a show.
Mhm.
I'm not sure. Um, nothing like super crazy to promote. No, I don't really
Yeah.
have anything right now. I'm hoping that She and Him wants to go on tour again for Christmas. We usually do a Christmassy tour, and
Mhm.
but it's February today, so who
Yeah.
knows? I don't know. We have some time. Um, no, I don't really. I nothing that is set in stone that I could. There's a couple things that might happen
Mhm.
but I don't know. I
Yeah.
don't know.
That's okay. I just popped your links into the comments. Is that where everyone can go to check out more about you? Is that where you'd like to send them to hear your music?
Yeah. Where am I looking? Sara Mann, Instagram, saramann.com. Yeah.
That's
Yeah,
great.
yeah, yeah.
That's
Thank
so
you.
great. It's been awesome talking to you, just hearing about your journey. I'm just in awe of, how you've just I don't know, your grit, your drive, and your determination. It's really it's so inspiring to me to
You're
hear,
so sweet.
a
I
story like
still
that.
I do feel like I'm at this a little bit of a point in my life where I'm like, I gotta take off the boxing gloves.
You've earned it.
Yeah.
You have earned it.
I mean, I'm
And
not like,
you're
oh,
yeah. But you're also in a really I mean, the age that your kids are they both girls?
yeah,
Yeah. So they're, at that age, they're entering a whole new chapter of life, which
totally.
requires a
They
different
need
level.
they need mom. They need mom time.
Yeah.
They crave mommy time. They want it. And, now they split their time between me and their dad. So
Uh-huh.
when I do have them, which is half of the time, it's super important to me
Mhm.
that I give them undivided attention. And that's a big choice. So I've had friends be like, let's go out on a Friday night. And I'm like, unless I have work, I'm not gonna
Yeah.
go out on a Friday night. It's like, sorry, I have my girls. If my girls can come, then sure. But otherwise, I'm giving them everything all my extra. And unfortunately, we do end up working a lot on Friday nights.
Yeah.
My custody agreement was not the best smartest for a singer, but it is what it is. So
Yeah.
yeah, thank you. I've definitely forged a career for myself and been all over the place doing all sorts of different kinds of things and had success, luckily, thankfully, uh, in these different avenues. And I haven't really quit any of them. I still audition for stuff. I still do voiceovers. I still do session work. I'm still learning my music theory and I'm still taking classical voice lessons and pop voice lessons and I'm still singing backup and I'm just doing whatever I can to stay relevant and happy and feed that part of me that that's the unstoppable singer, right? That
I was just gonna say that very thing. You're an unstoppable singer, not and I think that embodies everything from the music and the personal. I mean, you're a mom. It fuels all those things. So, um, I'll I'll leave it with a final question of what is it that makes you unstoppable?
uh what makes makes me unstoppable? 8 hours of sleep.
Ooh, okay.
I really like 8 hours if I can get it. 8 hours of sleep is fuel for me. What makes me unstoppable? I guess that feeling that you get when you are performing. It's that sort of out of body, even at an audition, that that enigmatic sort
Mhm.
of, what that feeling is when you do get the chance to put, the opportunity and the practice, or I don't know what the saying is, you know what I'm trying to say, when like
Yeah.
opportunity meets blah 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 or whatever,
Yes.
but when all of
Yeah.
that comes together and you find yourself and you're like, I'm performing, I'm doing it, I'm out on
Yeah.
stage, and it's like the drug that you can't get anywhere else. No drug,
Mhm.
no alcohol, nothing is going to give you that feeling, and
Yeah.
that is what makes us keep going, I think.
Yeah. There's nothing like it. Nothing at
Yeah.
all. Sarah, thank you so much. This was really fun. Great to get to know you. I hope our paths will cross in person at some
I do
point.
too.
Yeah, that would be awesome. Thanks again for your time, and thanks for everybody who joined us tonight. I hope you enjoyed our conversation as much as I did. I'll be back here next Wednesday with another great interview. But for now, we're going to give Sarah the rest of her night back and say goodbye for now. Thanks
Thank
again.
you so much for having me.
Of course. Thank you.